Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about playing electric guitars unplugged. I find that probably 80% of the time that I'm playing guitar, I'm just grabbing an electric and playing it without bothering to plug it in or put it through my effects pedals. I find it's a good alternative to playing an acoustic around the house because it's not nearly as loud. I can kind of practice and play anytime that I want, and a lot of the time, or the majority of the time, I don't feel like going through and just, bothering to jack it in and turn on the amp and get all my effects pedals going and stuff like that. Although I do a fair bit of that as well, most of my practice time and composing time is on an electric that is unplugged. Now, why is that worth making a video about? Well, first I want to talk about why I enjoy so much playing an electric guitar without an amp or anything. And I think it comes from an article that I read a long time ago. It was an interview with David Gilmour, and Gilmour talked about how when he chose an electric guitar, he would always just play it acoustically, and if it sounded great acoustically, he knew that it would sound great through an amp and through all of his effects. So that always inspired me, and it made me, kind of start chasing down how to set up an electric guitar perfectly so you can strum it in the room and it sounds really good. You should be able to do all of that and have it sound clean and not rattly and buzzy all over the place. And what I find is that when I walk into music stores or I play other people's instruments a lot of the time, their guitars sound they sound like dog shit unless they're plugged into an amp. Because amplifiers, and especially gain or distortion, will mask the fact that there's little rattles and buzzes all over the place on the guitar. But you won't notice that or notice it nearly as much if you're playing amplified. When you're playing an electric guitar unamplified, all of those warts show through. And what I think the gold standard should be is that you should be able to play your electric clean anywhere up and down the neck with no buzzing, no fretting out, especially when you bend. You shouldn't have things. You should be able to do all those bends nice and clean anywhere on the neck without, like I said, fretting out. You shouldn't have buzzing. You should be able to play your, octave up D. You should be able to do all of that without all kinds of noise and all kinds of, distractions. I find that even if you're playing at low volume and if the electric guitar isn't set up properly or playing clean, you can actually hear the bad stuff happening under your fingers, even though what's coming out of the amp may sound passable or acceptable. To get to this point, once again, it is always about setup. It is about, having your truss rod properly adjusted, having the relief set on the neck, having your nut properly cut, your bridge properly adjusted, frets leveled, polished, everything as perfect as it can be. And you can't see this, but if I were to get I should have my string gauge here right now. This guitar is set at like 1.75 mil at the 12th fret. So this guitar has very low action, but yet and I'm really hammering away at this guitar, and it has a minimal amount of any sort of clanking or noise or anything like that. I can play anywhere on the neck, and I don't have to worry about weirdness. There's a little bit right there for a second, but if I ease back just a hair, it goes away. I am really digging in because I'm trying to get my microphone to pick everything up. And so let's go ahead and grab the Jazzmaster real quick. And it's the same thing. I try to keep every single one of my guitars set up this way so that I can just grab them and hammer away. And I wanted to use the Jazzmaster for a moment because these are notoriously noisy and rattly and finicky, but with proper setup, I can play it clean and it has clarity without the amp, and I can enjoy it and use it as, you know, a great practicing platform, composing platform, and when it's time to track or perform, I know the guitar is going to sound great when I plug it into the amp. That was kind of a nonsense chord progression, but just to kind of go through the various parts of the neck and showing that, you know, even cowboy chords can sound good. Anyway, I wanted to make this video also because I was inspired by something that Phil McKnight said a couple of years ago when he did his Sweetwater. You know, he embedded himself at Sweetwater at one point. I forget exactly when he did it. It was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and he was there to kind of inspect their inspection process. Like, what do they do to test an electric guitar before they send it to you at home after you purchase it? And one of the things that they did is they do, you know, the play test where they go up and down the neck, you know, everywhere. And they make sure there's no dead spots and that everything's ringing true. However, on electrics, they do it through an amp. And so, if there is a little bit of buzz or a little bit of rattle acoustically, they don't catch any of that because they're playing it through an amplifier. And he made note of that. He said, if you want the guitar to play clean acoustically, an electric guitar, play clean acoustically, you have to write a note to them or let them know that that's how you want it play tested before it is sent to you. And I think that should just be a matter of course. I think that every store, every retailer, every online seller should be making their best effort to make sure that your electric guitar sounds as good acoustically as it does through an amplifier. Because if it doesn't, those little rattles and buzzes and things, they're going to gradually start to either drive you crazy or they're going to show up on a recording or they're going to show up on stage. And you're not going to be happy when you hear those little things happening. But if you have your guitar perfectly set up and it sounds great acoustically, you'll never have that issue. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope that if you watched up to this point, you have already subscribed. If you have not, please do. A like and a share. And as always, the comments section, let me know what your experiences are. Do you enjoy playing electric guitars unplugged like I do? Is it maybe the majority of your guitar playing happens in that format? If that is the case, you don't want it rattling and you don't want it sounding like crap. All right. Well, you take care. Smash that subscribe button for me, and we'll see you next time.